Hi everyone, welcome to the Play Pouch podcast, and this is the final podcast of 2023. And
Oh,
what a way to go out at, Pete. We're going to give you the final top 5 list. This one will be the most anticipated games of 2024.
yes.
What's coming out? What have we got to look forward to? Hopefully, there's going to be some good stuff here. We don't know each other's lists, as always, so this is all going to be pretty fun. And so what we'll do is we'll go 5 down to 1, and each take a turn. So I believe, Pete, you went first last time, so I'll kick us off, will I?
Yeah, go for it. But
Right.
before you do, consider subscribing to our channel. Click the notification button, click the thumbs up button, and leave a comment. Thank you very much.
Sorry, Pete, I fucked up. I missed that.
No, I was there to jump in just in
You were
case.
there to jump in. Okay, edit.
Yeah.
Right.
Go for
Okay,
it.
then. So, my number 5, Dragon's Dogma 2.
Okay.
Yeah, I never actually played the first one of this. I always watched it from afar, and it had a unique way I remember in the first game, you could climb up monsters
Mm-hmm.
and attack them, and it had a very unique party system in Dragon's Dogma 1, where is that your party members were avatars. Could be it could be your friends on your friends list would have avatars, and their player characters would be your party members. So if you created a character, Pete, for example, and you played Dragon's Dogma 2 or Dragon's Dogma, and I brought your avatar in, you would technically be in my game as a party member for me.
Oh, nice.
And I thought that was a really cool trick, but I still never got around to playing it. So I am 100% on board for Dragon's Dogma 2. I don't know that much about it, but because I missed the first one, I'm definitely going to jump all over this one, and hopefully they've retained a lot of that same stuff. And it's my and your kind of game. I think it is a kind of sword and sorcery RPG anyway. Capcom are on a roll. Let's be honest. They
Yeah.
kind of are on a roll the last couple of years with all their Resident Evil remakes and their Monster Hunter Worlds. So at the moment, they can't really do any wrong, with the exception maybe of Resident Evil 3 remake, which was a little bit disappointing. But other than that, they've been all over it. So yeah, that is my number 5. It only just pipped him to number 5. Because if I had played the first one, maybe I'd be even more pumped for it. But I'm definitely going to give it a proper look at this time.
Okay.
When it comes out. So yeah, Dragon's Dogma 2 from Capcom is my number 5. I think it's out middle of the year. So yeah.
Well, I'm not going to lie to you, folks. I did struggle with this list, and I had to search fairly deep to find games that I am anticipated.
And why,
watching.
Pete? If I'll just jump in before you give your number 5, why? I'm curious. Why did you? Is there just not much coming out for you,
Well, yeah. I mean, there were things that I missed, obviously, and on the face of it, I could only sort of find 2
Wow.
that I was initially sort of looking forward to. But then, yeah, I was like, oh, okay, yeah, oh yeah, that game. Oh, okay, yeah, that and that one. That looks cool. So yeah, after a little bit of digging, I did find 5. But yeah,
Okay.
just to preface that with the fact that it wasn't easy. So my number 5 is Stargate Timekeepers. Right.
And is that based off the Stargate show?
It's set in the SG-1 universe.
Ah, interesting.
So it's a real-time tactics game. It's like your orthographic top-down view mode strategy, RTS. You've got to sneak your characters behind enemy lines, use their unique skills, craft the perfect plan to unravel a time loop mystery, and defeat the Goa'uld.
The Goa'uld, yes.
The Goa'uld threat, yes. So this is releasing in 23rd of January next year.
Oh.
And it does look quite intriguing. If you go and watch a trailer or look at some screenshots, it does look quite good. Yeah, so I mean, I'm a real fan of things like Age of Empires and Civ 6 and stuff like that. So yeah, this is going to be right up my street, I reckon.
Be up mine as well, because I was a massive fan of the TV show.
Yeah,
I watched all 10 series, and then I watched also Stargate Atlantis, which was the spin-off. So
yeah.
um, if the gameplay's good, and you always have to be careful when it's when it's these kind of TV and film franchises, I'm always a bit dubious. But if the gameplay matches up to it, I'll be interested in that as well, Pete. Definitely.
I don't know whether it's going to be for consoles, but
Oh, really? Is it PC
definitely.
only?
I'm not sure. It
Okay.
doesn't tell me. But the system requirements are really, really generous. So I wouldn't worry about you
Maybe
being able to run it.
maybe my old PC could run it then. Who knows?
Oh yeah, it definitely will, mate. Graphics for minimum is a GTX 950, and recommended is 1650. So I think you'll be all right. To be honest with you.
My card just about qualifies. Just
Yeah.
about. Just about.
So yeah, it's available for blah 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 blah. It's
Edit.
available for pre-purchase for 25 quid. So
Also, it's a lower price title as well. Interesting.
yes, yeah, that's my number 5.
Right. Now I might pronounce this wrong. Okay. So a little bit of a warning, guys. Don't laugh at me if I do. Number 4. Is it Black Myth Wukong?
Ah, you son bitch. That's on my list. Yes, Black Myth.
Since it's on your list, I will only briefly discuss it. This I saw many years ago, and I was blown away, like I think most people were, when I found out it was from one dude. At least this demo part, obviously not anymore, but at least the demo part was just this one bloke. And I was amazed the fact that one person could do this. I mean, there was no getting around it. That but this was very early on. This was just obviously just a 2-minute demo or whatever it was. But still, one guy
Yeah.
doing this is like, wow, what could somebody with this ability do with proper resources behind him?
Yeah.
And we're going to find out what the guy can do with proper resources behind him because it's coming out next year. Not sure what month exactly, but it's coming out next year, and it looks all kinds of interesting. It looks really different, and the gameplay looks different. The fact of all these weird creatures, Pete. I mean, you've seen the trailers like I have.
Mm-hmm.
It looks like it could be a really interesting world and story.
Definitely.
And the gameplay looks very solid as well. So good gameplay in a very unique world, in a very unique setting. But I guess I'll leave that there, and you can fill in a bit more later on.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't want to say too much more about it just because, yeah, I mean, it's going to be one of those silent hits, I fear.
Yeah.
All right. So my number 4 is Metal Gear Solid Snake Eater, the remake.
Okay, so that's on my list.
Okay, so we'll be brief. I mean, I don't know anything about this, but what's won me over is the graphics. The fact that the graphics is in Unreal Engine.
It's Unreal Engine 5, isn't it? I knew that would be a big selling point for you, bruv.
Yeah, we've got terrain deformation, we've got like interactive foliage and all of that good cutting edge stuff that Unreal Engine is bringing.
And trust me, foliage was a big part of Snake Eater. Trust me.
Yeah. And I dare say they're using mega scans and all this other sort of top grade photogrammetry stuff. Probably metahumans too. So yeah, I'm not familiar with the story, but I'll definitely be giving it a crackola when it does release. I'm not sure when it's coming out, but
not official. There's not an official month, is there? But it still says 2024, so we assume it is still on track.
Probably Q4, knowing them. So we'll see.
Christmas time.
Yeah. So Black Myth Wukong, Metal Gear Solid, not Black Myth Wukong. Yeah, my number 4.
Okay, my number 3, and as soon as I say the first 2 words of this game, I can hear Pete going, So, here we are. Number 3, assuming it doesn't get delayed, which is for all of these, of course, Star Wars Outlaws.
Oh, for fuck's sake.
See? Now, Star Wars games, very hit and miss throughout the years. Jedi Survivor, which is something that came out this year, heard it was decent, but heard it was not very well optimized. Don't know if that's been fixed. I still think it's not exactly, fantastic shape regarding how it runs. However, this game is not about the Jedi's. That's why I think I'm a bit more keen on it. I like my Jedi's, but they've been done to death, right? Star
Hmm.
Wars is Star Wars Jedi's. Every now and again, you get a different kind of game in the Star Wars universe. There were some old games called TIE Fighter, the Star Wars TIE Fighter games, very, very, very old games now. For example, where you played on the side of the Empire and you played as a TIE, obviously as a TIE Fighter pilot. So in this one, because it's going to be focusing more on basically Han Solo kind of characters, right? Outlaws, right? Rogue.
Yeah.
It's going to be about a rogue. So unless they do throw a Jedi in there, and so far they haven't, but because it's Star Wars, you can't be surprised if they do throw a Jedi in there, right? Maybe you have to fight against a Jedi, but so far it's been about you playing as a scoundrel, Han Solo kind of thing. Han Solo is most people's favorite character, mine kind of included. So you're playing a woman, which is fine. No problem there. As long as the character's good, I don't really care that much.
Hmm.
Hopefully it's not woke and stuff like that. We'll have to wait and see. And and so basically, she's a thief, she's a scoundrel, she's a rogue. So you're probably going to be fighting, I'd imagine, the Empire and the Rebels. So you're going to be kind of independent. So that might be quite interesting. It looks good. It looks solid. Can't really say about the story because Star Wars sometimes they're a bit limited by what they can do with the stories, especially when it comes to the whole dark side and light side. I like that stuff, but it has been done to death. So I'm hoping that they do try something different with this kind of story.
Yeah.
Like I say, hopefully you fight against the good guys and the bad guys in this, right? You make it really unique. I'd love there to be some branching choices as well. I don't know if that's in the game. Probably not, I guess, but that would be good as well. So maybe you've got a bit more you can choose. Um, so yeah, I am looking forward to it. I do need more information on it, but there was a game that was canned many years ago where you play as a bounty hunter. So this might be the kind of Phoenix rises from the ashes type of thing where this is the game that could have been, because there hasn't really been a kind of rogue playing as a bounty hunter kind of rogue. I don't think she's a bounty hunter; she's more of a rogue. But they're, because it's always about the Jedi. So to have a game in the Star Wars universe which is coming at a different angle, I think it's long overdue. I know the Star Wars franchise is not in a. I do know it's not in a great place. There's no getting around that.
Well,
Um,
there's really only one solution for it, dude. And, it's a shame that Disney owns the license. But
well,
I think what everybody wants, every sort of Star Wars gamer, what they want is a gritty, sort of, dark storyline. You can't really go there with Disney behind the scenes. But hopefully this time it's going to be sort of really gritty. I mean, if you look at the first film, Episode 4, and how gritty that was, you'll this is what people want. They want to go back to that point where there's going to be blood and just like not sugarcoating things all
yeah,
the time.
a more kind of mature storyline, and
Yeah,
maybe that is what they will go for. Like I say, I do feel it's a bit early to tell because I don't think they've released enough information really
yeah,
to know exactly. So I am going basically on the trailer that I've seen because that's all I've got to go on. So hopefully it doesn't get delayed, but it could be. I don't know when the release date is for next year. I think it's still slated for next year, but there's no month or anything. So this
yeah.
could be this could easily be one which does get delayed. But hopefully it doesn't. And I haven't played a Star Wars game in a while that I liked, even though Alan tells me that the last two on the Xbox, the Jedi Survivor, actually aren't that bad. But yeah, so we'll see. A different kind of looking at a Star Wars game from a different perspective is something I would be interested in because I do feel the Jedi stuff for me is a little bit played out. So that's what I'm
Yeah.
hoping for, bruv. That's my
Right.
number 3.
Okay. Well, my number 3 is something I don't know whether you're aware of. It's called Terminator Dark Fate Defiance. And this is
Okay.
another RTS game, putting us in the middle of the future wars between humanity and Legion's synthetic intelligent machine network. So I'm assuming this is based off the
Based off
latest.
the last film.
Yeah. So it is just your typical RTS game, strategy, all that kind of good stuff. It's single player and then online PvP as well. There's no fixed release date. There's a planned release date for 21st of February, but that might get pushed back.
Right.
So we'll see what happens. No price for it as of yet, but I mean, me being a fan of RTS games, I am looking forward to this, to seeing how it is. Hopefully, it won't be a buggy mess like they usually are. But yeah, it's from a developer by Slitherine. So
I think I've heard of them.
yeah. So hopefully it'll be good. It's a shame that it's not going to be Skynet, but hey, never mind. At least it's a Terminator RTS.
Well, Terminator deserves a good game because they haven't had many in the past, really, have they?
No,
They deserve a good game for once, for sure.
absolutely. So yeah, we'll see what happens there. Terminator Dark Fate Defiance.
Is it on the PC or is it consoles as well?
Again, I don't know. It's definitely PC, and we'll see whether it ends up coming out for consoles. You should be able to play this one if you're interested as well. Minimum graphics are very generous again.
Yeah, I might be able to just about run it.
Yeah, that's it.
Okay, right. So we're into the top twos now. So my number 2 is something that you've already mentioned, which is Metal Gear Solid Snake Eater.
Mm-hmm.
Now, I did play the original on the PlayStation. Oh God,
2.
I'm gonna say 2 at the end. At the end of the 2's lifespan, I believe. Not that long before Metal Gear Solid, not that long before PlayStation 3. I really enjoyed it. I don't know if it's my favorite one. It's up there because I didn't like 4 that much, and number 5 I didn't like that much either. So if it's not my favorite, it's probably my second favorite. It's completely rips off the 60s James Bond stuff,
Mm-hmm.
which, as I've said before, I'm not generally a big Bond fan. But if there's one era that I did quite, I know it's like blasphemy, isn't it? There was one era I did like not mind the films. It was, I suppose, like the Sean Connery era in the 60s and stuff. So, it does pay homage to that stuff. There's a little bit of cheese with the theme song, and there's a little bit of cheese. There's no getting around it. But you could say that about the Metal Gear Solid games in general. There's always a bit of cheese in them. But no, it was good boss fights, unique boss fights. In particular, there's a boss fight against this old guy in a wheelchair, and you think, what? And he's like this old sniper guy, and the whole fight is just you and this old guy literally just trying to get a shot on each other. And it can take ages, and you might think, oh, that sounds boring. No, it's not. It's quite intense because it was just about 2 snipers just kind of crawling around trying to get a shot on each other, and that's the boss fight. And that always, the fact that I can remember that quite vividly, that stuck in my mind. The story is not bad. It focuses on a lot of Russia and America stuff. There is some patriotism in it, which I can live without personally, but that's a part of the story. And it's Kojima and I assume they're not going to screw with the story. I'd imagine they won't. But this game obviously is going to have updated graphics, updated control system, which it definitely will need, because the Metal Gear Solid games, especially, have never had the best control system, especially the older ones.
So who's developing this? It's not Kojima, is it?
No, it's Konami, because obviously they own the game.
Oh, God.
So it's whether or not that. I assume they'll keep the same story. I don't think they'll want to screw with the story, though maybe they will a little bit. Whether or not they do it shot for shot, I actually don't think they will. So that might that could be a couple of warning signs. Like if they are going to screw with the story, there might be some trouble ahead. Maybe, I suppose. But assuming that they keep the story as is, without screwing with it too much, they update the graphics, they update the controls. Then it will be a bloody good game. It's on my list for sure. It's number 2 on my list, so it is my second most anticipated game for next year.
Okay.
No exact release date, I believe. Like you said, there isn't one, so this could be delayed, I suppose, because it's not set in stone. But hopefully, it won't be. And God, when's the last time Konami released a good game? I'll tell you.
Yeah, that's a good fucking question.
Maybe this is the finally one they get right.
Yeah, not holding my breath.
No, we'll have to wait and see. But as of right now, I am looking forward to it. I might not be looking forward to it nearer the time once you start getting previews and stuff like that, because we'll have to find out how much of Kojima's stuff they've left in there and how much they've decided to screw with. But no, as of right now, can only go on what we know. So looking forward to it, and just don't screw with it too much. Just make it prettier.
Yeah, please. Yeah, okay. Well, my number 2 is Black Myth Wukong, and yeah, so this is it's basically a adaptation of an ancient Chinese mythology. You have to sort of you venture. Where is it? Well, I'll just read you the blurb, basically. You shall set out as the destined one to venture into the challenges and marvels ahead, to uncover the obscured truth behind the veil of a glorious legend from the past. Now, as we've already discussed in this podcast, the graphics look top quality.
Yeah.
The physics, the character designs, the monster designs.
They look great, mate. The character designs look. I'm so intrigued to see what they do with that.
They're so wacky and far out. The voice talent looks really, really on point as well. There's a lot of well, the reason why I'm intrigued is because it's kind of close to my whole philosophical spirituality, which is the Vedic scriptures. And this is kind of close to that. And I'm certainly seeing a lot of monster designs that are fairly close to some of the deities and demigods that are in the Vedic system. So, yeah, I'm really sort of intrigued to play this. Again, it's going to be one of those Soulsborne type games.
It looks that way.
Yeah. Yeah, it just looks really, really attractive. So the slated release date is 20th of August. Again, whether it comes out then is anyone's guess, but hopefully it does, and hopefully we'll be enjoying it. This is going to be for consoles as well, right?
I'm pretty sure it's coming out on consoles. Yeah, I'm sure it is.
There's no system requirements as of yet, but yeah, Black Myth Wukong. Can't fucking wait, as I am sure a lot of other people can't either.
No, that should be good, dude. It should be good. But it's on both our lists, so we've both seen something pretty good in it. Let's hope it doesn't let us down, eh?
Now, mate, at number 1, if it isn't what I think it fucking is, and I'm going to cut this podcast off right now, but I'm pretty certain.
Of course it is, because the game hasn't come up in either of our lists yet. So either one of us completely hates it all of a sudden. Okay, so I mean, Jesus. Okay, we just did a podcast, a review of the first game in this series. So probably to anyone who does watch us on a regular basis, it won't be a surprise. It is Final Fantasy VII Rebirth, so the second part in the planned trilogy.
Yeah.
Out quite soon as well, as we're taping this, 2 months more or less, Pete. So it's actually one of the earliest games on our lists that's actually going to be out.
Yeah.
and it doesn't look like it's going to be delayed. Normally, because it's so set in stone now. Normally, these things don't get delayed. I mean, you never know,
Yeah.
but it doesn't look like it's going to get delayed. So it's coming real soon, folks. And where do you even begin? I mean, there's been quite a few trailers now. The recent one at the Game Awards with Aeris singing everything and showing a couple of cutscenes. I got little goosebumps when they showed the scene. They showed a little bit of the date scene between Cloud and Aeris, where she's hanging onto his arm and there's fireworks in the sky, and that just took me right back to me being a 15-year-old kid playing the original and going on a date with Aeris
Yeah.
and stuff like that. And it broke my nostalgia little heart a little bit.
Well, we should just probably address the elephant in the room. We believe that either Aeris isn't going to die, or she is, but the other Aeris is going to take over, or something like that. Because we now know there's two Aerises, and there's probably two Sephiroths.
There seems to be two of everybody based upon the information we have. So they can technically get away now with one version of Aeris sacrificing herself while the other one lives.
Mm-hmm.
Although then that also, if the one in Zack's timeline lives and then the one that we kind of know of dies, would we be happy with that? I don't think I would. That's a weird thing. I'd be okay with the one with Zack dying, but R1, and that's what I mean by it, is a bit weird. Like, I want R1 to live, and I don't mind as much. Strange, isn't it? And I don't mind as much as the other Aeris, if that's the one who sacrifices herself. Well, that's weird.
They're both the same. We know now that they both know everything. So does that extend to the relationship she's had? Is Zack's Aeris aware of Cloud and her relationship with Cloud?
Well, the way it looks is that Zack's Aeris, from the very, very small scenes we've seen, is in a state of either she's been sleeping for a long time, either voluntarily, or it looks like more like she's maybe in a coma or something. With Zack kind of, sitting next to her, talking over her, kind of thing. And then you've got Cloud in the background, who seems to be slouched over. And I think the general consensus is that both Cloud and Aeris in Zack's timeline are both kind of comatose. Cloud is comatose because of the Mako poisoning, and we don't know what's happened to Aeris. Something obviously has happened to her. So in Cloud's, Zack's, the timeline where Zack's alive, both Cloud and Aeris are both still alive. But in that timeline, they would never have met each other at this point. They wouldn't have met each other. So it's all a bit up in the air. Let's be honest. It's all a bit up in the air. But because there is twos of people, they can they've got an out, haven't they? If they do want to kill Aerith off, there's a kind of out where some people will be like, well, okay, at least the other version lived.
Yeah.
I don't know how much I like that. By the way, I'm not decided. A lot would depend on how they go about it and what the explanation is.
Yeah, I mean, at this stage, I really don't care as long as we don't lose her or a version of her. I mean, like, if it's the other one, fair enough. We get to know her at some point, and we just go back to the Golden Saucer and have the date again and stuff like that, out of the game's view. You know what I mean? So, like, I mean, I don't really sort of.
The thing that doesn't make sense, Pete, and I know this is not another me and you debating what it means, so we won't go on for too long, but I do want to say this. We don't know exactly when the timeline branched off. We're assuming it branched off exactly when Zack was meant to die, and that was when it branched. That's what we're assuming with the information we've got. That's when the timeline's branched, right?
Well, we're told about this other timeline at the end of the first game, aren't we?
Yeah.
So, I mean, like, with that cutscene at the end, and everyone was like, what the fuck is this, right? So we're aware of it, and as you said, when did it actually happen? Yeah, it probably I don't know.
Because if Zack takes Cloud back, right, then why is Cloud still comatose? Because he wasn't comatose. Zack dying should not change how long Cloud is comatose for.
Hmm.
That should not play a role in how long he's comatose for. But it looks like that Cloud is still kind of Mako poisoned at the bit where Zack's over Aerith. And so timeline-wise, it doesn't really add up. I don't know. Like I say, dude, it's so hard. They
Yeah.
need to. Hopefully, they will. But I do understand a couple of people's fears, because since I've cleared Final Fantasy VII, I have had a look at a lot of other people's videos and theories and stuff, and there is a little bit of people who don't like this that much, more than I thought there was.
There seems to be a little bit of a consensus out there that they don't like the changes they've made. They wanted it to be exactly the same. Die-hard fans, basically. And, well, you knew, I mean, I certainly knew that they were going to sort of keep it the same, but then add some twists and turns, because that's what they do. That's what Squaresoft actually, you know, they're not going to do it one for one, are they? They're going to make it exciting for previous fans, new fans. They have to cater for everyone.
I told you, mate. People are upset that it's a sequel. It's not a remake. That's what they're upset, because it is a sequel.
Yeah,
it is technically a sequel. It is.
Well, it's happening again. So whether you want to classify it as a sequel or like a sort of a remake or whatever. But just purely from the fact that both Sephiroth and Aerith know that last time he lost, and that casts doubt on whether Sephiroth's going to kill Aerith again. And even if he does, he knows that he's doomed. Is he aware of the other timeline, like Aerith seems to be? Or is Aerith aware of the other timeline? There are so many questions.
They did one thing I will say, though, probably in closing, is that they did show in the latest trailer that I've now gone over very much with a fine-tooth comb almost now, is that there is a shot of her in the praying position, just like she was when she dies. Yeah. So that scene is there in the game. And
it's a tease, isn't it?
It shows white feathers, which is kind of almost her calling card, and then it shows the black feathers, which is the Sephiroth calling card. Yeah. So that suggests to me, they put it in there for that reason, but that does suggest to me that scene still does happen. Now, we don't know what happens after she's praying. That stuff anything could happen, but we do know that part is in the game. So she does at least go to that place to pray for Holy, I suppose, like she does in the original. That part is more or less, we know that that's now going to happen. What happens after that? Of course, there's no way of knowing, but we do know that she will go and do the same thing that she originally did. So make of that what you will. And I do admit that when I saw that, when I did go over it with a fine-tooth comb, I did get a little bit of a sinking feeling, because I thought to myself, shit, they are going to go at least that far to have, of course, they exactly the same thing.
But then he'll probably come down on Tifa. Who knows?
That's what that was my theory to start with, and it still is. It still makes the most sense to me if they're going to do something like that.
But then it also, if she dies, then there's not only the white materia that she was praying for, but there's the other one that Aerith has, and Aerith has.
So Sephiroth will have to kill both of them. And the bit where Marlene's talking about the person waking up again, I've gone over the trailer a couple of times now, and she is talking about. I thought maybe she was talking about Tifa, but she is talking about Aerith, but she's talking about the alternate Aerith, the one who's already asleep. She's not talking about our Aerith, so to speak. Yeah. She's actually talking about the other one who's comatose or in a coma.
Yeah.
That's who she's actually talking about, because the word she says is, as soon as she wakes up. That's the key words that Marlene uses. As soon as she wakes up, he's going to kill her. That's the wording exactly.
So maybe we have a chance to save her, and our Aerith dies.
Maybe you can choose to only save one of the two. Sorry, Zach's area, if it's nothing personal.
Yes, sorry, babe. We gotta take your darling away. Sorry, you're supposed to be dead anyway. So start off.
See, they could play that really interestingly. They could have Zach wanting to save his Aerith, and then Cloud wanting to save his, and those two would have to come to blows.
Ah, cool. No, I don't mind that. I'm not a big fan of Zach anyway.
Well, I'm currently playing the Crisis Core, which is well, maybe we'll do a podcast about that sometime, but it's a different kind of game.
Yeah. Anyway, that's going to wrap up our episode today, lads. A bit of an
Yep.
update on our feelings about the Final Fantasy VII Rebirth. If you liked our podcasts, then please consider subscribing, hitting the bell button and the thumbs up button, and then leaving us a comment. What are your most anticipated games of next year? Is it Black Myth Wukong? If so, you are welcome into our fold. If it's Final Fantasy VII Rebirth, likewise. If it's anything other than that, then yeah, well, it's nice to know you. No, I'm joking. It's fine. We love you no matter what you decide to choose. So until the next episode, have a lovely. Well, we hope you've had a lovely Christmas.
Yeah.
We'll hope you have a bombastic New Year's Eve celebration, and we'll see you in January.
Lots of good games coming out next year, though, guys. Hopefully, it'll be a good year. Yeah.
Let's hope. All right.
Take
Take
on
care.
2024.
Yeah. Take care, everyone.